Hi everyone, this is Milagro from Miracles Are Me Crochet. Today we are going to start the Crochet Lab tutorial for Herrschners Worsted 8 Moonlight Sky Ripple Afghan. This is categorized as a skill level of easy, which I do agree, from Herrschners. It uses Herrschners worsted yarn, which is a medium weight category 4, machine wash and dry, and that has the Herrschners Easy Start tabs, which I love. You will utilize for this this Afghan a 5.5 crochet hook, which is also an I9. So the colors utilized for this throw are, this is white, let's see, dark gray, this is sleet, and this colorway is medium gray. One thing I'll say is that when you do look at the pattern online, at the Afghan online on their website, the colors look a little different. Like the what is the dark gray looks almost like a black to me on the pattern, and the color sleep to me looks like it's almost like a bone color on the pattern. But even though, you know, what you see on your screen looks a little bit different, I still think all of the colors complement really nicely. So we're going to start with this pattern. It's very simple. It's a 1 row repeat. It's just a matter of just changing colors and when you need to, and that's it. And there's a color sequence to follow, which is very simple. So you're going to begin this pattern with the colorway of, let's see, A, which is the dark gray. Okay, so to begin the Moonlight Sky Afghan, we're going to need to chain, let's see, 203 chains with this colorway of medium gray. I'm sorry, I've got the wrong color. With the colorway of the dark gray, which is this one. I apologize. So we're going to use Herrschner's Easy Start tab, and we're going to pull, and we're going to begin our chains of 203. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm going to ask you to continue making chains until you have 203. Sorry, woo, I'm tongue-tied today. 203 chains on your hook, and then we'll meet again. Okay, I now have 203 chains on my hook. So we're going to start this very easy pattern. I chose this Afghan today because I'm about to fly from Puerto Rico to Arizona for my grandson's high school graduation, and it's a pretty long flight for me. So this is a very easy classic pattern. It just involves single crochets in the back loops and some very simple increases and decreases. So it's a nice Afghan to do when you want something that's pretty simple but still comes up really, really beautiful. Okay, so let's get started. So I have my 203 chains on my hook. I'm going to turn my chains over so I can see the back loop. So here's my fronts, and here, when I flip it over, are my back loops. So we're going to begin by making a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So how do you know where your second chain is? So if I look right here, I know this is dark, so that's why I'm bringing in this. Here is my first loop. and then here is my second loop. So we're not going to go right here. We're going to go in the very next one, which is here. And we're going to put 1 single crochet. There we go. Okay? Then we're going to skip 1 stitch. So the very next stitch right here, we are going to skip. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So we're going to skip here and then do 1 single crochet in the next 11. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So there's my 11. There's my 11 single crochets. All right. So then we're going to put 3 single crochets in the very next stitch. So here's our next stitch. We're going to put 3 single crochets all in that 1 stitch. So now we've made our increase. Okay. So now from there, we're going to repeat. So we're going to do in the very next stitch, right here, we're going to start with 11 and 1 in each of the next 11. So 1, and then the next chain 2, and the next chain 3, next chain 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me pull some yarn. There we go. 8, 9, 10, and 11. So this is how we're looking so far. Okay, that's how we're looking so far. So next we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and that will form our decrease. So here and here we're going to skip, and then we're going to, in the very next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right, so here we go. We're starting to show our ripple. All right, so let's repeat that one more time. So in the very next stitch, you're going to do your increase, which is 3 single crochets in the next stitch. So here's your 1 single crochet in 1 stitch, 1 single crochet in the same stitch, and a 3rd single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, and then in the very next stitch you're going to start to make your 1 single crochet in the next 11 chains. So here's 1, and then the next chain 2, next chain 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we're going to work our decrease, which is you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so this is how you're looking. You're starting to see your ripple come about. Okay, and you're going to continue with that until you get to the last chain. So next you're going to do because we just did a decrease, so now you're going to do an increase with 3 single crochets in the same stitch, and then you're going to 1 single crochet in the next 11 chains, and then you do your decrease, which is skipping 2 stitches, and then you do your 11 single crochets across, and you continue that pattern until you get to the last stitch, and then we'll meet again. All right, so I have put my increases and decreases in. I am at the last 2 stitches of the foundation row 1, so I have 2 stitches left. So I'm going to skip this stitch, and in the very last stitch I'm going to place a single crochet. All right, so before we move on, a few housekeeping things to do. First, I would advise you to make sure that your increases and your decreases are in the correct place, because the last thing you want to do is get almost to the end of row 2 and then you find out, oops, I messed up one of my increases or one of my decreases. Okay, so that is what I'm doing, making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be, which it looks like I am good to go. Okay, so the other order of business is to talk about what we do henceforth. We're going to start row 2, which is your repeat row throughout this blanket. Now you will be working in the back loops. If you've never done that, I'll show you how to do it. It's not difficult. So throughout this blanket you'll be working in the back loops except for the very first stitch and the very last stitch of each row. So let us begin. This is row is very similar to the first row. So you're going to chain 1. There's my chain 1. I'm going to turn my work. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. I'm going to go through both loops of the first chain, which is right there. If you can see, I have 1 and 2 loops. 1, 2. Okay? So I'm going to place a chain 1 through both loops. Next, I'm going to skip the very next stitch, which is, let me move this out the way so you can see right here, right there. I'm going to skip that stitch, and now I'm going to start working in my back rows. So I'm going to put 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch. So this is your front loop. This is your back loop. Let me pull this out and I can show you with something else. Here are 2 loops. 1 and 2. This loop is your front loop. This loop is your back loop. So we're going to work in that back loop. Okay? So let me back up a little bit. So we're going to, after we put our single crochet in both loops, we're going to skip the next stitch like I said, and then we're going to work in the back loop, which is right here. We're going to put 1 single crochet in the back loop of the next 9 stitches, so of the next 11 stitches, sorry. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So now you should find yourself at the center of your previous increase. So right here, we're going to go still in the back loop and put 3 single crochets in that 1 stitch so we can make another increase. That's 2, that's 3. Okay? And then we're going to do 11 single crochets in the back loop of the next 11 stitches. So that's 2, 3, just like previous row, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now we should be at our 2 decrease stitches. So we're going to do the same thing as previously. We're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, to make our decrease, 1, 2, and then in the next one we're going to start our 1 single crochet in the back loop of the next 11. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then we're going to continue that pattern all the way until the end, the same as we did in the previous row, except we're just working in the back loops. So you're going to, at this point, you're going to make your increase, which is 3 single crochets in the very next stitch, and then you're going to make 11 back loop single crochets in the next 11 stitches, and then you're going to skip 2 stitches and then continue that pattern all the way until the very end. And that is basically this stitch pattern throughout. When you get to the very end of this row, you're going to do the same thing as the previous row. You'll have 2 stitches left. You're going to skip that 1 stitch, and in the very last stitch, remember, you're going to put a single crochet through both loops, just like you did in the beginning. Okay? So I have reached the last 2 stitches of row 2. So if you remember, we're going to skip the next stitch, which would be right here, and you're going to put a single crochet in that last stitch. So we're going to change colors at this point because we have done 2 rows of the dark gray. So if you remember the last stitch, we go work in both loops. So we're going to yarn over, we're going to hold right here, and we're going to attach our color B. So go. Now let's attach our color B. And there we go. All right. So sometimes you can carry your yarn up, but I wouldn't advise to do that with this pattern because usually I don't like to carry my yarn up more than 2 or 3 rows, and once you get further in the pattern you're going to be carrying yarn way too long. So some people will do it, I just tell you not to. Okay, so you're going to have to tie off your dark gray. So how I do that is I'm going to now cut my dark gray. I'm going to need a nice little piece. So I've cut it about this length. So to begin the next row, you're going to chain 1, okay, and turn your work. So I'm going to tie off this row because I'm going to try to give myself a little less work and weave it in as I'm going. So how I do that is I sit it down as I'm weaving in that next row. So I've made a chain 1. Here is my first stitch that I need to single crochet in. It's right here. Okay, and I'm going to go through both loops. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to also save myself a little time and weave in these ends. So to weave in these ends, I'm going to sit this down, make sure I get into that first. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little discombobulated. There we go. I'm sitting that down, weaving in. I'm going to go through both loops of that first stitch. As you see, this is sitting down. So now, if you remember, I'm going to skip the next stitch, which is right. Let me move this out the way, which is right here. I'm going to skip that stitch and I'm going to single crochet in the back loop of the next stitch. So I'm going to incorporate these in so I don't have to weave so much at the end when I'm finished. So we're going to do that. Single crochet and then for the next 11. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to drop these things that I'm weaving in because that's about enough. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then my 3 single crochets in that one loop for my increase. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's how you're going to change colors while also weaving in. So if you look at the back, you see this is weaved in. Now what I like to do when I weave in is I take my yarn needle and I go back in that direction just to make sure. So I weave it back in that direction. That's why I leave a little bit extra. And then I'm sure it's locked in. Okay, so that's how you're going to continue, and you're going to work that way throughout the blanket, making sure that you do the back loops and everything except for the first and the last stitch. Okay, now to work the blanket, they do it by what they call color sequences. So color sequence 1 is what we're working on. You're going to do 2 rows of each color. So we started with the dark gray, we did 2 rows. Now we're doing the medium gray, we're going to do 2 rows. And then you're going to do the sleek color, which is color C. You're going to do 2 rows, and then you're going to do 2 rows of color D, which is white. So that completes sequence 1, which is the beginning of your blanket. Okay, now for the main body of your blanket, that is they call it color sequence 2. So that is the main body is a total of 48 rows. So you're going to do 8 rows of each color, and you're going to start with color A, which is dark gray. You're going to do 8 rows, and then color D, you're going to do 8 rows of white, and then color B, which is medium gray, you're going to do 8 rows, color D. you're going to do again, which is 8 rows of dark gray. Color C, you're going to do 8 rows of sleet. And color D, you're going to do 8 rows of the white again. That concludes the main body. So that was color sequence 2. Now then you're going to work color sequence 3, which begins with color A, which is the dark gray. You're going to work 8 rows. And then you're going to do 2 rows of color D, which is white, 2 rows of color C, which is sleet, 2 rows of color 2 rows of color B, which is medium gray, and you're going to conclude color sequence 3 by doing 2 rows of color A, which is dark gray. And then you're going to do what they call the end sequence. So it's pretty much a repeat of the very first beginning of the blanket. You're going to do row 1, you're going to do color A, row 2, color B, row 3, color C, row 4, color D, and row 5, color A. Okay, and that will incorporate the blanket. So then we will, once you do all of those color sequences, then we'll meet again to work on the edging of the blanket. Okay, so I gave you some tips, some ways that you can tie your ends in a more kind of efficient way. So happy crocheting. I'll see you once we're ready for the edging. Bye-bye. Okay, so I have completed all of the color sequences for this Moonlight Sky Afghan from Herrschners. So now we are going to start on the edging, which is really quite simply a very classic, simple single crochet all the way around the edging, 5 rows. So you're going to start this edging with the same color that you ended with in your last color sequence, which is the dark gray. So that's what I have on my hook now. So with the dark gray that I've ended the color sequence on my hook, to begin the sequencing of the edging, you're going to start with a chain 1. So there is my chain 1. Once you've made that chain 1, in each corner you're going to place 3 single crochets. That'll be your turning corner. So here's 1, 2, and 3. Now what I would advise you to do is take a stitch marker like here and place a stitch marker in that center, which for me is right here, in that center single crochet of that corner. And then you're simply going to begin to make single crochet stitches in each row. So here's 1, that's a single crochet. This one is a little difficult to get in. There we go. Here's a single crochet. So in each row, place a single crochet, and you're going to continue to do that all the way down until you get to the next corner. Once you reach that next corner, then you're going to do your 3 single crochets in the corner and mark off your center corner. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around until you get back where you started, And then when you get into to that first single crochet of the chain, you're going to attach your next color, which would be medium gray, and then you do the same thing all the way around, single crochets all the way around, 3 single crochets in each corner, and then you're going to do your sleek color and then your white color. So all together it will be 5 colors. So color A, B, C, D, and then A again. And you're going to do single crochets all the way around with 3 single crochets in the corners. And then you're going to fasten off from there. So you go ahead and work that, your edging sequence, and then we'll meet again so we could see the outcome of our blanket. Happy crocheting.